What's up, mechanics? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of Tool Tuesday here at the VIM Tools headquarters. If you were watching last week, if you were one of the first viewers, you would have seen that we accidentally uploaded a video that was unedited and uncut.
And a stretch.
And if you did get a chance to watch that, you now realize just how off the cuff this whole thing is. Because none of this is planned. We set products in front of us and we talk about it as they come up.
It is knowledge of our general knowledge of what we have in front of us and what is going on that we kind of mix and mingle together to make what you see here on camera. This is not a giant production where it's all pre-scripted or anything of that sort. Now you have an insight to that, or at least some of you do.
Yeah, and a little story. We went to the beach because we were taking some pictures of a new product. Hint, hint, beach, new product. Comment what you think that's going to be. And after we took some pictures, it was later, so we went to a bar, me, Louie, and Clay. And while we were at the bar, I just checked my phone and I saw somebody comment and say, "Oops, don't think you were supposed to upload this. Like, this is an unedited video." And I immediately was like, usually Clay's the one that uploads the video. This time, I did.
Yeah.
Because it was on my cell phone. And so the two videos were just next to each other. I clicked the wrong one. And I was like, "Clay, did we upload the wrong one?" And he was like, "What?" So we go back and look, and it was the unedited one. And he was like, "I don't know, man. That was your fuck up." So we just deleted it, whatever. Not a big deal. But we're not going to do that again. Going into updates. First up, this is an update for the dealers, the tool trucks, the people that are selling these products. We've heard some complaints in regards to the packaging. People want artwork and colorful images. We have a ton of these boxes already printed. And not just what we have here already in stock, but those boxes have to be printed overseas.
In order to make them, how to put this, in order to make sense to purchase enough of them to where they're not crazy expensive, you got to print a lot of them. So we have a lot of inventory in boxes overseas for different sizes for different sets. Now that being said, that means we can't change the box artwork. The label artwork, we already have all these labels made. So in the interim, to make this easier, what we did is made a wraparound label so that you dealers on the trucks can sit or stack them however you'd like, and then you can see an image or an outline in this case of what is in the box, so you don't have to go opening the boxes that you're trying to sell. Now, the best way to sell this product on a truck would obviously be to load a toolbox with it or have open ones so people can see what's in it, touch them, whatever it is. But everything it's different for every dealer. Some dealers like the dealer that you saw on our channel, that box was full of in product. They had a display. That is by far the best way to sell it. People can put their hands on it instead of just looking at a picture of that versus a picture of something else. But that is your decision. Well, at least this way you know what's in the box. That is a ball Torx bit. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, most dealers will put these on the shelf, sideways. And people were saying, well, I can't really tell what it is. If I want to show a customer something, I don't know what box it is if you're looking at a brown box like this. So that's why on this side, you just have a little outline of what's inside of it with the part number so you can identify what's in that box without there being an artwork.
So a little update on some of the stuff that we're doing. But that is just another example of when there is an issue that needs to be addressed, we tend to address it the quickest way possible.
Yeah, and that's not to say that we'll never have artwork on our boxes, but that couldn't happen immediately. This is an immediate fix for those issues.
Alrighty.
Okay. But actually, this product is kind of the theme of today, and that is ball end.
Yeah, ball end bits, essentially.
Yeah.
And drivers.
Drivers, because it's not just all bits. We have a lot of ball end stuff. And actually, whenever we go to shows and somebody comes across like a ball Torx set, they're always surprised.
Because people have seen ball hex, they have heard of it and they've seen it. It's not as new or exciting, but not a lot of people have seen ball Torx. And I say that it's been around for a while for us, but we show up at these expos, which are flagships, which are tool trucks. People see tools every single day, and they go, "Oh, ball Torx? I didn't know." And so my impression is that a lot of people don't know about ball Torx. So we have two ball sets that include ball Torx here that we're going to talk about are bit sets.
This is the master set of bits, and these are all quarter hex on the bottom. But it has Torx in T10 through T55, and then hex in 10 millimeter 2 through 10 millimeter, and then SA 3/32 through 3/8. So you have both SA and metric hex as well as Torx, and you have two adapters. One which is a quarter hex to quarter square drive, and one which is a power shank to magnetic quarter bit holder.
You can use it on a ratchet or a
drill
gun.
Of some sort. Yeah.
Quick connect gun. But as you can see, this is our VIS 112. It comes in this green case. The adaptation or bigger brother of this set. If you don't need something so small, compact, and you want a little added benefit.
Ooh, this one's new. But specifically, this one is the one that people are always surprised at. They look at this kit and they're like, "Oh, you got Torx in there?" This has been out for a long time.
This has been out for a while. We changed the packaging. It went to a different case, but that's it.
It used to have a little belt clip on it. We realized nobody uses that, so there you go. Better case. This is the larger, more premium set with a ratchet, but not just any ratchet.
Now you have our RFB 400K inside of it. I want to make sure this is in frame while I'm playing with it. Yep. All right, so you have our RFB 400K. And now the difference between this one and the older version of the RFB 400K, it still has the pass-through function where you can make a T-handle, but this little black part is a sleeve, which spins, which makes it a lot easier to be used as a T-handle. So now you have a true T-handle, turbo spinner you could call it, and you have the RFB 400K along with the VIS 112 to make the FRBB 34. This has definitely been the more popular out of the two since it's been released. I'm assuming because you have the option of having the ratchet and it sticks with it. It's really not a giant case either. Obviously, all of these bits work with both the extension and the ratchet. Like I said, the extension passes through the head of it, making it a T-handle. You can also use it to get anything that's offset. You can extend it by putting the extension in the bottom of the handle. There's a lot of uses with this ratchet, which just makes a ball end set that much more worth it.
And of course, those are all made from S2 steel. And you get the quarter hex to quarter square drive adapter, but you also get a square drive adapter for the ratchet. So you can use the ratchet with not just the bits, but also with quarter sockets.
Real versatile. So you got a lot of options here. And now, for those of you, I guess we should have said that to begin with, but for those of you who are unaware or don't know much about ball end bits and drivers, our ball hex, I can't speak for everyone else's, but our ball hex allows for an extra 15 degrees of angle to get onto a fastener. So as you know, you're not always able to get directly onto a fastener. It's, you know, sometimes there's something in the way that doesn't allow you to get onto it correctly. So if you have a little bit of wiggle room, in this case up to 15 degrees or percent? Degrees. 15 degrees of wiggle room, you're able to use these ball end hex bits and get in there and actually remove that fastener without having to worry about it tripping or anything because it's supposed to be used. So if you have an area where you have 15 degrees of clearance, if that even makes sense, this will help you get in there. The same thing goes for the Torx. They are both cut at the same angles, I guess you could call it, to allow for that much wiggle room.
Yeah, and so if you can't access something straight on, you need a little bit of room, and let's say it's in a really deep area where you can't necessarily access it with larger tools, look at the reach that this ratchet gives you. You put the extension in the bottom, the ball end bit in the extension, just flex the head full 90 degrees, and now you have a really long...
Show here, probably easier here to see it.
A really long, like, L key, basically, with a little bit of 15 degrees of angle either way.
I mean, again, the ball end gives you an added benefit. That is not to say they can't be used straight on, because they can. That is the cool thing about the ball end bits, drivers, etc. They can be used as regular bits and drivers. They just give you the added benefit of being able to use them at a slight angle as well.
VIM, we are the self-proclaimed kings of tight access, and this is just another example of that. We have a lot of different ways that you can get to tight spots, and this is a really great set for that. Also, for everybody, not just the dealers, that QR code on the front, you scan it, it gives you a full parts breakdown of the set. So if you need to warranty a piece, or let's say you lost one, you can actually give your dealer the part number rather than them having to search it. Or your dealer can just scan it, and now the dealer has the part numbers to order his replacement.
We are trying to make your life as easy as possible by making a tool that helps the job be done quicker and also being there in case something goes wrong and you need a replacement. Trying to figure it out little by little. Any suggestions always help, and we will take them into consideration for future versions of certain products.
Yeah, now I want to show this one because this is also old. And if you don't want all the extra stuff and you just want the ball Torx, we do have that. This is the VIS 108. It is just the Torx from the VIS 112. But you also get both of the adapters. VIS 108 ball Torx, T10 through T50.
So, we have everything. If you're a, MacGyver, I have everything, look at all the cool stuff I have type of guy, we got that. If you're a, I don't need anything that I don't need type of guy, we got that. So, again, all along the spectrum, we have what you need.
But speaking of only Torx, this is the same thing, but with a quarter square drive, T10 through T40.
Extra long, all 6-inch shafts?
6-inch shaft, quarter square drive, S2 blade, T10 through T40. So you have it on an extra long shaft with a quarter square drive. We got it with quarter bits.
This has been super popular for a while too. It's not a.
This used to be in a blow molded case.
Yep. So we've had it for a while, and it's been really popular. It's not a. We've changed the finish on the blade, so if you don't recognize it, because of that, they used to be a chrome socket with a black oxide finished shank. Now we changed it to match the rest of our sets, but that is really the only difference. This set is still exactly what it was.
Yep. BTXL 400 is that part number.
Boom. Now, something I do want to mention. A lot of people on this channel and elsewhere mentioned you guys have to do the SAE, you have to do it when you're doing SAE. It's not that we don't, and it's not that we are going to continue to do it. The issue more so has been that when we go to transition a product into a new version of it or a superseded set, whatever the case may be, always, I guess. I was going to say more often than not, but no, always. We're always left with the SAE version of Overstock when we run out of the metric. And then we have to reorder, to have the new variation of it. But the issue is that we still have the old version of the SAE. So we're kind of stuck in this
transitional period.
Exactly. Where we have the old SAE product that people aren't purchasing because it's not as popular, and they were selling the metric one of the new version, but they're asking for the new SAE version, but we still have the old one because nobody buys it. So it becomes a kind of a cycle, I guess you could say, and I want to share the reason in our views as to why we don't bring out SAE stuff right away. Like, for instance, the Noras. Yes, it is in the plans to be an SAE set, but we're not rushing to the table to do it until the metric slows down because, etc. And now I will show you both of these. Where are we going? Right here. These two sets right here are perfect examples of that. Make sure you can see it right here. You see it there, and you see this here? Mm-hmm. All right, perfect. These two sets, one older than the other, these are both previous versions of a newer set that we have, that we still have the SAE, and I'm talking about, this was years. We've had this one for a few years. This one is not as long, but we still have the SAE version of both of these, while the metric has been long gone. And then we've already moved on to the new version, but we can't bring out an SAE version because we still have the old ones. That right there is the HXL 100. We used to have the HXL M100, which was the metric version of this. This is a half regular SAE hex and half ball SAE hex. The metric was the same thing, obviously, but in metric. And about, I want to say 8 months ago, we had converted to the new version of it, and we ran out of the metric a month after that. We still had the SAE in stock, so it's clearly a slower mover, which it wasn't any surprise to you guys. But that is also the reason that we hesitate, or at least drag our feet in releasing an SAE version. We want to make sure we limit our inventory of all the SAE stuff.
Yeah, well, that's not to say that we're not going to continue to support SAE.
100%.
It's just that, for a small company, there's not a lot of equipment out there that uses SAE. There's still some agriculture, there's still some, obviously, aircraft. But in order for us to be able to bring in and sell that product, it has to be able to move. And SAE, for us, it's not that.
It's something we plan on doing. We just have to be smart about how we do it for certain reasons. Like this. This is the BHI 100. We used to have the BHM 100 as well, but this is now going on about 2 to 3 years that we haven't had the metric, and we still have the standard. But it's a pretty cool set, and another reason I'm showing these is to allow you guys, the ones who use SAE, to know that we still have this product, and you are more than encouraged to purchase it. Boom. This is a 2-way screwdriver handle.
So we actually have a lot of people that look for this set, the metric set.
The metric.
Everybody's always asking for this set.
It's pretty cool.
It's an older set that VIM has not had for a long time.
But this is one of those things where even back at this, if I had to guess, because I'd be lying if I said I knew for sure. But if I had to guess, I'd say the early 2000s are when this was brought into VIM tools. Now, That being said, I think it's crazy innovative. We had nothing to do with it at the time. Neither did my father. We were not involved at the time. But I do see this as one of the, like a pioneer type innovative product. You see right here you have ball end hex, and here you have the regular SAE hex. You have a two-way screwdriver handle, so you can use it as a regular screwdriver for hex, as a ball end screwdriver for hex, and then you also have a insert in the middle of the handle so that you can make it a T handle to get more torque out of either one of those ends of that bit. And I think that is pretty freaking cool. But it does not stop there with this kit. You also have this little mechanism, which looks older than me, but it is the same concept with a ratcheting feature. So now you have a ratcheting T handle. I mean, all in all, this is a very cool set, and people were not making cool sets like this back then. VIM was definitely one of the first to start making innovative, cool, different sets, and that came along before we did. So I'd like to think, just helped add on to that.
Yeah.
But
what's the part number for that set?
BHI 100 stands for ball hex. I is inch. SAE 100 quarter inch, because they're all quarter inch bits.
Anybody looking for BHM 100? No longer a thing.
We don't have those anymore.
But we do have the BHI. It's on the website. Go check it out.
The BHI 100 ranges from 1/8 to 5/16, for those of you who are wondering. Comes with the two-way screwdriver handle and the ratcheting T handle.
Okay. Now, we got two products left. This is the BHXLM 100. This is SAE and metric ball hex in 3/8 square drive. So you have the larger sizes. The SAE goes from 1/8 to 3/8, and the metric goes from 3 millimeters to 10 millimeters. It's got the updated finish on both the shaft and on the socket. And again, 6-inch long drivers on a 3/8 square drive. So if you need a little extra torque plus the angle, you can use a 3/8 ratchet. And with that 15 degrees of angle, you can access whatever's just slightly offset.
And this is just another, so what the thought process behind designing this set was, we had the HXL 100, which what I showed you, the SAE, half ball, half regular. We also had the metric version, which is half ball, half regular. Now you're buying double the set, different ends, but one end works for both. So we decided to put them together into one kit because the ball end does work for straight onto fasteners. So now you have that option as well as the ball end in both SAE and metric in one kit. So it kind of combines values there. So you're not spending as much money on multiple different kits, and you're not buying double. So that is the thought process and why we changed to this version of it. For those of you wondering. Not that you were, but...
Yeah. Okay, so that's the BHXLM 100. Oh, kind of new, within the last 6 months.
Couple months, yep.
Yeah. We're always updating things. So even if it's not really a new product, we have a ton of updated products from older products that we had in the past.
We are not scared to interrupt the sales of an item to make sure that it has an added feature that we're able to now add. If that makes sense.
Okay, now definitely,
last but not least,
out of the drivers that we've shown, I'd say that this is the most popular, the longest standing, most popular. Okay, last but not least, this is not a ball end design, but it is recently updated, and it is an extra long driver, so we thought, why not show it? The V458L has been out for a very long time, and it's always been extremely popular. We have a lot of people asking for it, so here you go. Brand new, updated, super long 10-inch drivers. This is all Torx. So you have T10 all the way to T50 in both 4-inch and 10-inch long drivers.
You got options.
In 3/8 square drive with an S2 steel shaft. These are incredibly strong. We are known for the strength of our drivers.
Quarter.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I was looking over here. Yeah, it's a mix of quarters. So on the smaller size, obviously you'll get the quarter square drive up to like the T50s. It uses a 3/8. But this is the V458L, newly updated in a blow molded case with the parts breakdown barcode.
And the reason you just heard that pop into that case so much is because we decided to tighten up the tolerances in the blow molds to make sure that when it's on a service truck or anything that's not just a toolbox, that when you open it, you don't have a bunch of loose items, especially when there is a set on the roof and on the bottom of the case.
Also, it's got a little stand, so you can stand it up sideways in case you got limited room.
Pretty neat. But that is all the items that we had to show here today. I did want to mention this bad boy is back because they are stateside. They're in the States. They're ready. Make sure you don't miss the boat on them. Ask your dealer about them. Dealers, ask your warehouses because these will go quickly. BBQB1, just in time for summer, Father's Day, etc. And you guys had a lot of ideas on what else this could be used for. And we're going to discuss that in the Q&A, which is going to happen now because I'm going to go over all those questions from the last video, which for whatever reason
popped off.
It did take off.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna do Q&A now.
After messing up the first drop of it, mind you.
If you want to listen to all the questions that people were asking and our answers to those, stick around because we're about to do that right now.
All right, guys. So we are going to go into some of the questions that we had last week because there was a decent amount of them. For whatever reason, after the whole hiccup that had uploading the video, we ended up doing pretty good with it. I mean, it hit like 7,000 views and it had a lot of questions. So you guys definitely engaged, and I appreciate that. So we are going to make sure we answer those questions. A lot of people were showing a lot of excitement for the Toyo K1, which not so many questions, but I guess that is an insight to how you guys feel. Toyo K1 will be a popular item. Someone did mention, I know a lot of products are made in Taiwan. Have you guys thought about the impact on your business if China were to take on Taiwan militarily?
Yeah, if China were to invade Taiwan.
But no, militarily, is that a...
With their military.
But is militarily the right word for that?
I don't think that is a word, but let's roll with it.
Militarily. Okay. Yeah, obviously that has been something that we have thought of and been aware of for quite a while now. Now, a lot of the line is made in Taiwan, but we do have certain things set up to where if we needed to, we could easily, I won't say easily, we could effectively switch over to different countries of origin without taking any type of major hit to our supply chain. So we have things in place to make sure we're protected in case something were to happen. But between you and I, this has been the sentiment over there, I guess you could say, or the political climate over there for the last, 8 years? So it's not a new thing that we're dealing with. There are definitely plans in place in case whatever happens.
Yes. And if that does happen,
we have us either.
we have a lot bigger problems than tools.
Yeah, this will be a minor issue in the grand scope of things for all of us.
Yeah.
But again, yes, that is definitely on our mind. We did mention the ratchets, that the different kits now that make the ratchets not have any type of play. If you are someone who had a ratchet with excessive play and you're looking to get that fixed or to eliminate that play in that ratchet, please reach out to us. Go to our website, submit a contact submission form about the issue you're experiencing to see if there's anything we can do for it, and we will make sure we do something to remedy that issue for you. Okay, I don't want to leave you guys in the dark. You guys do spend a lot of money on our products, and if we correct certain issues with them and you guys we're able to extend that courtesy to you guys, I would love to do that. So please reach out at vimtools.com, go to the contact submission form on the website, and reach out with your concern or issue with your ratchets. Gunsmithing tools. I would be very on board for that. Someone did mention, how about gunsmithing tools, like to incorporate into new products?
Yeah.
I would love to do that personally. The thing is, without sounding, how do I put this? Dumb, I don't know enough about the gunsmithing world, at least myself, to be able to advise on what products to incorporate into our line. Obviously, there's basic stuff, but to be able to innovate cool things, I would definitely have to read up and learn a lot about the market of gunsmithing and different tools that are worked with it. Because I'd like to say I do, but I don't. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So
I like guns. These are cool. Have a couple myself, but when it comes to gunsmithing, there are far more.
I just take them to a professional.
Yeah.
I
mean, the basics, sure, but there's people far more qualified to help with that project than me, at least for now. How about listing the links to the products you are talking about? That is not the worst thing someone suggested.
We used to do that. And I don't know why it kind of just stopped, but we should do that.
Someone did ask if we're going to make a Nora in 21, 22, 24, and 27 millimeter sizes. We are looking into making the DFXL wrenches, which are similar heads to the Noras, in those sizes. But the Noras themselves, we are waiting for testing to come back on different prototypes we've made in those sizes, because we're thinking we're most definitely going to have to lower the tooth count in order to make them strong. And they're going to be bulkier to make them strong enough to hold up to that level of torque. But testing is being done to see whether or not it's worth it for us to have them. Is there a slimmer ratchet handle to redesign coming in the near future? So, there is how to put this? I don't want to give too much information, but there is a project in the works at the moment in which we are exploring new handle possibilities and potentially considering a family of products to use the same handle, which will incorporate eventually those ratchets, and it will be a smaller handle. So yes, but yes, in short, yes, that is a consideration. But for those of you who have used that ratchet, it really isn't that thick. People made it seem crazy online. Anyone who's actually held it, they're like, it's actually not that bad in comparison to the size of the ratchet. All right, so someone did mention that USA-made product is triple the price. And
that it would be. The comment said USA made equals triple the price.
So we are definitely on board with the USA made stuff. You know our efforts into expanding our line. You will see the line being released at some point, and it is coming. We are starting to manufacture ourselves as well in a facility here in Tampa. That'll be something that you'll see in the future. There's a lot of things that are happening for us to support the USA made push. What is it called? What am I looking for? USA made
drive. The USA made
movement. The USA made movement. We're trying to push that. We're doing that. We're on board 100%. Obviously, that transition isn't like immediate, but we are pushing for that. Now, that being said, we have learned a lot in talking to different manufacturers in the United States and what it takes to actually do something in the United States. And oh my gosh.
Whatever you thought, it's more expensive.
So imagine you're sitting there and you're like, well, how much can it be? It can be what, triple? Way more than what you thought it was. It is up there.
Well, hold on. I mean, they're thinking in terms of a product retail price, and yes, I mean it might end up being
I'm saying
that, but the cost of manufacturing.
I'm saying the actual cost of building it here. Like for instance, the mold for something, to do the tooling, to make the mold for something, to go into a machine, to then make what you're wanting to make.
It was like 17 times the price. It was around there.
It was like 12. It was like 12 times the price of what we could have had it done overseas for. The whole machine and brought in, but whatever. The point being is that we are still exploring it, still pushing for it. We're still doing it. It is just we have found a couple hiccups, monetary hiccups, along the way. That being said, we're still pushing forward. We're still on track. It's just we've found different ways to do things.
Yeah, trust me, we're working towards that goal, and we will be there at some point. It's not a fast process. This is going to take a lot of work on our end, and finding people
a lot of learning.
People that are qualified to do that job are also hard to find. So it's going to be
because you want to trust the people you're working with as well. Someone can tell you, I can do it for half of that, and then they give you some garbage, and now you have a garbage product made here that's worth nothing.
Well, I'm speaking in terms of our own facility here in Tampa, the people that will be working with the machines.
100%, yeah. We have to find the correct machine shop.
That's a difficulty because the manufacturers that we know in the United States currently have problems finding people who are willing to do that job or who are qualified to do that job. And honestly, I think that's because in the United States, everybody's so focused on tech, and like that's what everybody goes to college to study. There's not a lot of machinists. There's not a lot of,
and it's all gonna be new machinery. So the new machinery requires people to be taught about how to use that new machinery, but you need someone with experience in machine.
And you also need people who are experienced in coding, because these new machines need code in order to CNC, and coders typically don't want to be working in a factory. They want to be working on some software or SaaS sales or something.
When we took over, when VIM was purchased, we had the luxury of working with the machinists who had been working with those machines for decades. So there wasn't a whole lot of training. We were the ones learning. Where in this case, it's new machinery for new sets with new people that we don't have yet. So it's more of there's a much bigger learning curve. And so that was a little bit off track and a little bit of venting, I guess you could say, from our part. But we are still on track. You will be seeing that from us. Things are still going well. And thank you all for commenting and honestly contributing to this type of conversation. We appreciate every one of you. But that is all that we have for today. There aren't a lot more questions. I hope we got to them all. If we didn't, remember, we're human. Just comment the next time. We'll get to it. Thank you very much for tuning in to Tool Tuesday this week. We will see you next week.